so glad to be here with you today after a very long while. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for coming in. And we shall be starting right away. Thank you so much for tuning in, all of you who have made time to be here today. Today we want to discuss about gain or how to set the best gain levels for your recordings. And yeah, all matters concerning gain and what is gain, we want to discuss it today. So I'm glad that you've joined in this live stream. If you can be able to hear me, just confirm whether the audio is okay so that we can be able to kick off right away. If you've just joined in, we are glad that you're here. Today we want to discuss about gain and everything that deals with setting the right gain levels for the optimal recording. And we would start right away by defining what is gain. What is gain? We have different types of inputs when we are talking about audio. We have what we call mic input, and we have what we call line input. I'm sure these are things you've seen either on your mixing console, the one you have in church, you've seen in your interface, the one you use to record. And basically, mic input, this is the input that allows the lowest signal, of which that is the signal that a microphone can be able to put out. So if you're recording a microphone through a microphone, or if you're using a microphone for a live sound, you would have to put it in through the mic input. And as you said, it's the lowest input level you can be able to get. And two, when you're talking about line input, line input is something a little bit higher in terms of the kind of signal it's giving you in comparison to microphone input. And these are things like keyboards, things like sound modules, and anything that gives you signal that is higher than what a microphone would give you. So as you've said, microphone input or microphone level is the lowest signal level you can be able to get. Yes, so that on the side. Now we want to discuss about what is gain. I'm sure you've seen this knob on your mixing console in churches. You've seen this knob probably on your cameras if you're videographers. You've seen this knob at the same time on your digital audio. You've seen it on your interfaces, the one that you use to record. So what is gain? For me, I would like to look at it as what affects your input levels and not necessarily output levels. Some people confuse gain for volume. Gain affects input levels, whereas volume affects output levels. I don't know if we is somebody here, can you be able to get the audio? Are we getting the audio properly? Is everything clear? I just want to confirm before we proceed. Just let me know, how is our audio today? How is our audio? All right, so that on the side, we've said that gain, this is the amount of input you give to a system, whether it's your microphone, your mixing console, or whether it's your interface. That's what we are calling gain. Now, whenever you're recording or whenever you're doing your live sound mix, you'd want to get the optimal gain level that gives you the best sound for your live mix, whether you're doing a church kind of sound setup or for your editing if you're doing a recording. Because most especially if you're doing recording, this is something you'll not be able to change after you've recorded. There is some advantages of getting the right gain level, because if the gain level is too high, we would run into problems. At the same time, if the gain levels are too low, we would run into problems. If your gain levels are too low, you'll find yourself in a situation where after your recording, you'll have to boost up the signal that you recorded, and hence you will be raising the noise levels or the noise flow. Yeah, and this will be affecting the signal that you're having. At the same time, if you raise your gain levels too much, you'll find yourself running into a situation where you're having distortion. Of course, what is distortion? Distortion happens when you raise your gain levels too high. When you push your gain levels too high, you get into a place where you're having distorted sound. And I'm sure all of you have heard of what a distorted sound looks like. So when you set the correct gain levels, you'll be able to avoid yourself having a lot of the background noise. At the same time, you'll be able to get a full and balanced tone, and that only happens when you get the correct gain levels. Of course, if you're using an interface, I'm sure you've seen it having the gain knobs for your different channels. If your interface has one channel, you'll have one gain knob that you can use to be able to adjust the gain for that particular channel. And if you have 2 or 4 channels, I'm sure your interface should be having individual gain knobs to adjust the different channels that you have. So assuming, for example, you've plugged in your microphone into, let's say, channel 1, you would have to use the gain knob of channel 1 to be able to adjust the gain levels. And I will share what I do personally for me, and probably I may have to bring up my DAW for me to be able to explain this. So we want to open up our DAW. Let's see if we can put it up. We want to open up our DAW and see if we can be able to explain how to set the gain levels. And I will share how I do my setup for my gain levels before recording. This is something you do before you start recording, because once you start recording, you cannot change this, or it will give you an imbalanced kind of signal where you started with very low, and then maybe somewhere in the middle of your recording you've started doing a bit of adjustments there. So you may want to put all these settings right at the very beginning of your recording. I'm sure if this is not your first time on this platform, you have seen us using Studio One before. And yeah, so let me just start a new song. Let's just call it gain staging. Let's just call it gain and say okay. So if you remember how to add a track, you can simply come up here and say add a track. But since we have moved from there, let's just see an easier way of doing it. You can double click this left panel over here, and it will be able to give you this window here where you decide on the number of tracks you want and the name of the track. So let's just call it voice. Let's just call it voice. And of course, we said whenever you're recording audio, whether you're recording somebody singing or you're recording a guitar, you have to choose audio. So yeah, and you can select the color that you want that track to take. So let's select red, and of course we said if it's vocals, you want to always record in mono. So I've put my microphone on the very first input, and that one will be read as left. But if you have written in terms of 1, 2, 3, 4, that should have been 1. So I'm going to just say okay, and you can see over there we have our, let me set this so that I can be able to see the screen. Okay, so you can see there we have our channel, and we have to arm it, and you can see once we've armed it, we are having audio coming in. So for me, I always want to make sure that when I set my gain, I want to make sure that I'm getting about negative 12 decibels. Decibels is the unit that we use to measure the signal that is coming in. That is what we use to measure amplitude, or what we commonly call volume. So let me just go to the mixer knob so that you can be able to see this properly. So if you come to the very bottom on your right, you can press mix, and it should be able to bring you right over here. At the same time, you can be able to just press F3. The moment you keep on using Studio One, you'll get to know the shortcuts. If you hover your mouse around this mix, you'll see it gives you the option for the shortcut, and it's an F3. If you press F3, you will get you will get to the mix window. So here we are, and I was saying, for me, I always try and set my levels at about negative 12. For today, I've put my microphone quite far away from me, so you can see right now as I'm speaking, you're getting around negative 24. So I normally like pushing it to about here, but because of the settings I've put for the stream, it may be a bit too loud for you, but just bear with me for now. And while doing this, you want to make sure the vocalist you're recording, assuming you're recording a vocalist, you want to make sure that the distance between your vocalist and the microphone is not so far, yeah, so that you're picking every detail from this person's voice. So let me try going closer to the microphone. Check 1 2, check 1 2. You can see I'm at about negative 20. So if I raise my volume using my gain knob for channel 1, check 1 2, and you can see we are just below negative 9, so we are playing about negative 12. Check 1 2, check 1 2. And for me, I normally find that to be a very good level to record, most especially when I'm recording vocals. So let's try and probably just record with a very low gain, and then also with a very high gain, and probably at around negative 12. So we'll do the first one quite low. So let me just lower the volume. I don't know if you'll be able to follow. How great thou art, how great thou art. So that was the low one. Let's call this low. Let's just create another track. You have the option of duplicating. You can just right click there and say duplicate track. This will give you another track that is getting audio from the same input you're using, but it will not duplicate this this signal that you already recorded. But if you wanted to duplicate everything, you would say duplicate complete, and it can give you a complete duplicate of what you had recorded. So let's just say duplicate track, and let's call this high. So I'm going to put a very high gain level, and I'll move close to the microphone, and we see what that looks like as well. So let me unarm this, and then arm this right over there. I hope you can be able to see and follow what we are doing. So let me just put a very high gain level. Just bear with me. If you can move away from your headphone or just reduce your volume, that would be great. So I'm raising the gain knob. That's what exactly I'm doing. And I'm going to move closer to the microphone. Let me just record. Let me just mute this one up here. How great thou art! How great thou art! I'm very sorry for killing your ears, but for this purpose I had to do it. You can see right over here we are having already red, and that shows that you're clipping it. You can even see it's written right over there, we are clipping. And even if you look at the signal that we're having here, we do not have any headroom. We are way up there. You can see that. You can see that. Even if I play it back, it's not quite pleasant. We actually, if I just raise this volume just slightly, you'll hear the distortion that is there. I think I don't want to go right above there. So then I'll just do another track, and I'll use my settings that I normally follow, that I think is optimal for me, gives me quite some good levels. So I'll go to my mix window rather, and I'm going to look out for about -12. How great thou art, how great. I think that's about -12. So we have armed our track. Let's just start recording. Oh, sorry, we have to mute this as well. Sorry about that. We can delete that. Let's record now. How great thou art, how great thou art. Did you really get -12 or around there? Let's see. Let's redo that. How great thou art. I think that's okay. So let's record. How great thou art, how great thou art. So we have these 3 recordings that we've done with different gain levels. The very first one was very low, which means if you're to use it, you will have to raise this volume slightly, and you can see. I don't know if you've discussed this before, but if you want to raise the volume of any clip that you've recorded, just click on the clip, and this white button that you'll see there, just bring your cursor over there, and it will give you a finger. Left click, hold, and raise it up, and you can see that. So let's solo this. Of course, soloing plays that particular track alone. Let's play with here. All right. I'm also going to do a bit of gain staging on this optimal one, right about there. I want to bring all of them to almost the same volume so that we see. I think they're about. So let me play the first one. This one was the one that we recorded under very low gain. Alright, remember that one you've raised to the very highest volume possible. And now this one we recorded with a very high gain level. Let's play this one and we see. All right. Remember, I had to reduce the gain level for, rather, I had to reduce the volume for that clip after recording it. And let me play this last one that I recorded at about negative 12 dBs. All right. One thing you will notice about this low one that we recorded under very low gain levels, first of all, because remember the signal was somewhere about here, and I've really had to push it to the maximum. I can't push it anymore so that we can be able to get what was recorded. And what this in turn does is it raises the noise flow. If you listen to this very first part, you will hear that there is quite some noise because by trying to compensate for the low gain levels, you're raising even the ambient noise that was around you. You can hear that at this very beginning. Maybe let me loop it so that you can be able to hear it. Looping is over here. I don't know if you can be able to hear that, but you can hear quite some noise there, and even right about here. Okay, it raises completely everything, and you don't get to enjoy a full balanced tone, and also the noise is quite high. If we take a listen to now this one, which we recorded with a very high and abnormal gain, you hear it kills all the dynamics of the vocals that you're recording. That is one. And two, you can also hear we have distortion throughout your voice. That is two. And three, you do not have any headroom to work with. Headroom is that allowance beyond the highest levels of your recording, which can allow you to push your volume slightly higher. You can hear the distortion in that vocal. And if we look now at this last one, which according to me is the optimal gain level that I would use for recording a vocal. Quite clean for me. And if I also maybe play around here, I wish I could get a place where there is I didn't record some silence here, so but in general what we're saying, once you get an optimal gain level, you'll get to reduce noise levels. That is number one. Two, you'll not have distortion in your tracks. Number two, or number three rather, you'll also get a fully balanced tone, and generally this brings even more confidence in your recordings because you will start getting better outputs from your signals. I don't know if there's any question up to that particular point. I don't know if we have any question. If there's any question, I would be glad to answer. And I think this is where we would have to stop it for today. Do we have any questions? If there's any question, I would be glad to answer. If there is no question, I am so glad that you joined us today while we were discussing about how to set gain levels for perfect recording levels. Thank you so much for having joined us today. And may God bless you. Hoping to meet you in the next one. God bless you.